Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Toku Topics. Continuing today with my Wave 13 reviews, and the last one that I can do for a minute, because Dino Charge Blue is still not released for some reason, we have the Wild Force Putrid, which is such an interesting choice. So, the Wild Force Putrid is the foot soldiers of Power Rangers Wild Force. They're basically the putty equivalent, or the cog equivalent of the season, but they are definitely a very obscure foot soldier. They are something that were both in Gal Ranger and also in Wild Force. But the Putrids, I feel like, were not used too terribly often. Like, you know, when I first heard about this figure existing a couple of months ago, I was like, can I even think of what the Putrids look like without looking up a picture? And any picture that you look up of these guys is in very low quality and stuff like that. So the fact that Hasbro was actually able to make a really good looking figure out of this is pretty incredible to me. It's just such an odd choice. But this is one of those things to where I love the Lightning Collection, that we can get really obscure characters like this. I don't think anybody, when we started this line nearly 5 years ago, thought that Hasbro was ever going to make a Putrid figure of all things, so really, really cool. Now, being an army builder in this wave, I do plan on getting 3 of this guy eventually, but as of right now, I just have 1 of him. He is still listed as a March 2023 release on Amazon, but I will be leaving an affiliate link to it in the description below for him, which does help out the channel, especially if you army build these guys. I did get mine from Big Bad Toy Store alongside my Izzy from Wave 13. Oh, there she goes. My Izzy from Wave 13. And, oh, she's getting caught on somebody's arm over there. And my Zoe from Wave 13. So we've already taken a look at both of these, which are pretty good figures. And now we have the Putrid, which is, like I said, just I think surprisingly well done. So it's always kind of interesting whenever we get army builders in waves. That's something that they've done nearly every other wave for a pretty consistent amount of time. Ever since Wave 7, because Wave 7 had the Z-Putty, then we didn't have one in Wave 8, Wave 9 had the Tenga, nothing in Wave 10, Wave 11 had the Cog with the Zeotonfas, Wave 12 had nothing, and now we have the Putrid here. So, taking a look at him here, love the render of this guy, I think the paint looks really good. That's the same effect piece as we had with the Astronema figure, back from the Astronema and Ecliptor. Actually, we had it with, I think, both Astronema 2-packs, if I remember correctly. And we get this kind of like club weapon. My box does not like to stay up for him whatsoever. We do get a look here where he's tapping his head, which is something that the Putrids do. And there's the full artwork there with the Power Rangers Wild Force logo. It's definitely a really cool design, and I think that they've just done a really good job. Has a very little silly face there, which I think is fun. It says Wild Force Putrid. Plastic-free packaging and all that kind of stuff on the bottom. Lightning Collection kind of logo continues. And then here is the whole figure back render there, which the render, once again, no character name because it's just a Putrid, that's all he is. And then we can see you get 2 swappable hands, you get the club, that effect piece, and he is 6.25 inches. So yeah, so I'm very excited for this one, shockingly so. So let's go ahead and take a look at him here, because I've been opening all of the plastic-free packaging ones on camera, just to show you guys kind of the whole setup here. I don't know why I'm cutting it there, there's no tape there. I was cutting it like along there. I always forgot that the tape is on the side now, and not kind of along that bottom slot. So I haven't really been seeing any QC problems with the Putrid, but it's certainly possible. This is the last figure from my whole Wave 13 lineup and Wave 12 lineup and stuff to open up, so let's see how this goes. Of course, just like usual, the little accessories bag is falling out instantaneously. Here is the figure itself. And you know, if this one has some quality control problems, I do intend on getting 2 more of him, so it's not that big of a deal. But oh, he's getting caught. There he is. Such a, honestly, really good figure. Like, it's so strange to me which figures they just, like, go nuts on, right? Like, this I don't feel like is any, I don't feel like there's any inaccuracies to this guy, like, whatsoever. His paint is fantastic, and it's like, why did you guys go so hard on a Putrid? Like, why can't, you know, we have errors, right, with, like, both of the Wild Force team members have errors, but that Putrid's fine, so that's just very bizarre to me. But yeah, this looks great. Like, I love all the paint lines and everything there. We're going to take a closer look at him in a second, of course, like how we always do, where we open them up and then do kind of the whole actual, like, look at the figure. So, let's see. Okay, we got the hands, the club, and the effect piece. So yeah, I mean, very nice club as well. So that's all we got with him here. So we're going to kind of clean everything up here and take a closer look at the Wild Force Putrid from Wave 13. Okay, so here's the Putrid out of the box with everything that he comes with. So for a foot soldier, he comes with, pretty much exactly what you would need him to come with. He doesn't have to have any super elaborate or crazy accessories here, but just kind of with the overall figure itself. One thing about these plastic-free packaging era figures is that a lot of them have felt pretty loose with the joints, and I don't know if that's just the figures themselves having worse quality control or overall just quality in general, or if the fact that them not being in a plastic tray really does have a difference in the integrity of the joints. But this guy here feels reasonably tight. This one feels a little bit more like a typical Lightning figure, like you would expect from the original plastic trays. Not that he's not that he's not loose in certain areas, and it's that kind of loose that like you would want it to be. Like this joint, like right here, right? This feels like completely fine. Like I don't feel like that's gonna break. I didn't really have to force that joint. This is like pretty much the exact kind of level that I want the tightness of the joints to be. But yeah, like I kind of looked at a little bit ago, the paintwork on here is really good. Like all those red lines are carried over all over the figure, all over the back, on the arms, everything there, and like they really didn't like skip like much of any detail there. Like I said earlier, the Putrids, whenever you look up pictures of them, are very like low quality pictures and everything anyway. So this is perfect. Like this is really a perfect figure. I have no problems with this at all, which is really nice to say. So it's a really fun figure. I love this whole thing back here, because it almost does kind of make it look like somebody wearing a mask or something. That's something that the Zeo cogs technically should have had, because the cogs in the show kind of had like a gold mask, because it's just like a dude wearing a mask. But in the Lightning figures, they kind of made it a whole gold head. But this, I think, kind of gets that sort of guy in a suit kind of look across, especially with like the little folds and stuff back there, which is just really cool. You do get the little org horn, and I like the kind of metallic purple paint that we have on there. The Putrids are actually a pretty cool design. They are just a very obscure Power Rangers villain out there. It's not the first choice you would expect in terms of Wild Force villains. I think everybody would have preferred like a Zenaku to go with our Merrick figure, or like Gindrax or Toxica, Master Org, tons of other characters. But now we got Putrids. It's also a strange thing to jump straight to Putrids after all of our foot soldiers so far, except for the exception of the foot soldier Tommy and the Ninja Turtles sets, have been from Mighty Morphin or Zeo. So the next like logical choice besides like Piranatrons would probably be like Quantrons or something like that from In Space, especially with how popular In Space is within the Lightning collection. It's kind of surprising that we're getting things like the Putrid first. They're really like diving right into Wild Force with waves 11, 12, and 13. So I think that's cool. We're getting through the season pretty nicely here, kind of building up a nice little collection, and it's nice to have a specific villain for Max and Merrick to fight. But yeah, just an interesting figure. You do get those drop down legs a little bit. I do want to mention that because I sometimes forget to mention that. Because he is pinless as well, which also helps kind of not break up that design or anything like that. For the hands, out of the box, you kind of get this kind of claw, kind of grabby, splayed open hand, and you just get a fist there, but done up in like this nice gray, which I think is pretty nice. And then for swappable hands, you get a weapon holding hand for his right hand, which is what we will put the club in, and you get that karate chop hand, which is kind of for him to like touch his forehead, which I guess is something that the Putrids did. I don't honestly really remember that. The only QC problem I've seen people have with this one is I have seen people's their hands have broken when they're trying to swap them. The thing I'm trying to do right now is being a little difficult. Okay, that felt a little scary. But then again, swapping Lightning Collection hands has kind of always felt like that, to be honest. I'm waiting for that pop. I'm not hearing it yet. Oh, ooh. Come on. I know it's not all the way in the joint. There we go. That's the pop. Okay, so that was a little scary. But I would definitely prefer him to have... Actually, let's take a look at the weapon first. But here's the club. Really like how this is sculpted in the nice kind of bronzish paint there. It is kind of a softer rubbery material, especially at the handle piece and stuff like that. It almost kind of looks like it has like an axe blade at the end of it. But we'll go ahead and see how difficult it is to get him to hold that. Not too difficult, because it is a pretty rubbery kind of material. So you can kind of have him ready to go, or whatever he's going to do, fight the Rangers or something like that. Right now, he's just kind of a lone guy by himself. I have 2 Wild Force Rangers and 1 Putrid, so he's kind of outmatched right now. So, like I said, I will be getting more of him. I really do like the belt buckle as well, getting a little silver there, and this little kind of symbol, or whatever this is supposed to be, the little belt buckle. But this is a great figure, it really is. And then here's the effect piece for him, which is the same one, like I said earlier, that we've had from the Astronema releases, which is definitely an interesting one to give him. It can kind of, sort of, wrap around. Oh, there it goes out of his hand. But it can sort of, kind of wrap around the club. I mean, I guess kind of just something like that or something, which doesn't look bad. But let's see here. Get that back into his hand. So I guess if you want to do something like that, you could do something like that. So kind of get him. It definitely does kind of make him not want to bounce. But then again, I am putting him in a weird pose there. So yeah, that's the Putrid. And we'll go ahead and bring in real quickly here. We have Lunar Wolf from Wave 11. Who doesn't want to stand up? Come on. Really, Merrick? There we go. And then who has dropped one of his fists or one of his fins somewhere around the display station here, or the review station. But here is Max from Wave 12, who I don't know what is going on here. So let's have him stand. The club's kind of in the way. So there is our Wild Force trio so far, which is just an interesting lineup of figures, that's for sure. So Wave 11, 12, and 13 have given us these Wild Force characters. But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's really a good figure here, and it's definitely a great addition to Wave 13. And with that, that is going to do it for my video review of the Wild Force Putrid from Power Rangers Lightning Collection Wave 13. Might be my favorite one so far. I think, honestly, Hasbro's really killed it every time with their army builders. I think every army builder that they've done has been a really good figure. And so that continues here. It's just so strange of a kind of figure to do so well on. But maybe they do so because they know people are going to buy multiples of him or whatever it may be. But yeah, I highly recommend this figure. Even if you're not a huge fan of Wild Force, it's just kind of always cool to get another troop builder to kind of just add to your army of figures to fight your Rangers. And I also think it's really cool to be able to support this release to show Hasbro, hey, we want these more obscure kind of villains and characters. We like this kind of stuff. And they did a really good job at this here. So that's going to do it for my Wave 13 reviews right now. Hopefully Koda releases sometime soon. He's probably one of my most anticipated figures in Wave 13, which is a really good wave so far, honestly. It's one of the best Lightning Collection waves in terms of characters and honestly overall figure final results that we've had so far. So be sure to check out my other Wave 13 reviews. And you can also, of course, check out the Putrid on Amazon using my affiliate link in the description below. And that's going to do it for Putrid and Wave 13 as of right now. Until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LiveRangerKey or at LightningFigPR, and I will see you all later.